In this lesson, we will discuss reason and impartiality. You will also learn the 7-step technique in moral reasoning. A relevant definition of reason to our topic is from Merriam-Webster that says, to think, understand, and form judgments by a process of logic. Immanuel Kant, one of the most influential philosophers in the history of Western philosophy, argued that reason alone is the basis for morality, and once the person understood this basic requirement for morality, he or she would see that acting morally is the same as acting rationally. In Kant's view, the definition of morality alone shows that a person must decide what to do. You, as a person, are able to think and reflect on different actions and then choose what action to take. That a moral decision means mere desires did not force you to act in a particular manner. You acted by the power of your will. Before discussing how impartiality is related to morality, it is important to understand what impartiality is. It is a broad concept, but it is also identified as a core value in professional codes of ethics. Impartiality is commonly understood as a principle of justice. It denotes that decisions should be based on objective criteria rather than on the basis of bias, prejudice, or preferring to benefit one person over another for improper reasons. Impartiality stresses everyone ought to be given equal importance and not favor one class in a capricious way. Thus, for the question, are reason and impartiality a requirement for morality? Let us go back to what Dr. Rachel said. Morality, at the very least, is the effort to guide one's action based on the most logical choice, while giving equal importance to the interests of each person affected by your decisions. Making ethical choices requires the ability to make decisions between competing options. Here are 7 steps to help you make better decisions. The 7-step model for ethical decision-making is adapted from the 2nd-generation Ched-Get-Exu training. Step 1. Gather the facts. Do not jump to conclusions. Ask questions. There may be instances when facts are hard to find or are not available because of the uncertainty that surround ethical issues. Nevertheless, gather as many facts as you can. Clarify what assumptions you are making. Identify the stakeholders. Identify all the persons involved and will be affected in an ethical situation. Who are the primary stakeholders? Who are the secondary stakeholders? Why are they stakeholders in the issue? Get the proper perspective. Try to see the situation through the eyes of the people affected. Articulate the dilemma. Once you have gathered the facts and identified the stakeholders, it is important that you express the ethical dilemma. What are the competing values? The purpose of articulating the dilemma is to make sure that you understand the situation and the moral conflict you are facing. Awareness and comprehension are important in making the right decision, especially when there are lives that will be affected. List the alternatives. Think creatively about potential actions, as there may be choices you neglected. This will help ensure that you have not been pushed back into a corner. For example, you may already have solution A and solution B. Try to brainstorm and come up with solution C that might satisfy the interests of the primary parties involved. Compare the alternatives with the principles. In decision-making, specify the relevant values that you want to uphold in making your decision. Then, compare whether your alternative actions are in line with your values. Identifying the values and comparing your actions with these values are important because it will help identify if your alternative action is illegal or unethical, thus making this action easy to discard. Why is it important to have a system in making decisions? In systematically considering your set of values, the risk of overlooking overlooking important principles and considerations are reduced. Hence, the chance of doing something you will regret in the future is also reduced. Weigh the consequences. When considering the effects of your actions, filter your choices to determine if your options will violate ethical values. Determine how all the stakeholders will be affected by your decision. Make a decision. Remember, deliberation cannot go on forever. You must avoid paralysis by analysis, or the state of overanalyzing or overthinking a situation such that a decision or action is never taken, in effect, paralyzing the outcome. There is no easy, painless decision to a moral dilemma. However, it is also important that the decision you make reflects the value you want to uphold. What about you? How did you make a reasoned and impartial decision to resolve a personal dilemma? Cite a specific situation where you were able to apply some, if not all, of the 7-step model for ethical decision making. And how did the process help change you to become a better person?